With all the madness in the market right now, is there anybody who should consider buying a home in this housing market? Yes, and I'm going to explain why. Hey there, Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. Stop right there before you click on that button to leave. Of course, you're going to say, oh, he's a real estate agent and he's going to have a rosy picture of the market and tell us to buy because values are always going to go up. Well, welcome to my channel. This is obviously your first time here. That's not what we do here. What we do here is deliver the facts about the housing market. You ultimately make the decision about whether it's time to buy or sell. And of course, we'd love to have the discussion with you to help you make that decision. And I'm about to run through some really bad news about what's going on in the housing market and why a lot of folks are jumping to the sidelines right now. Of course, this doesn't benefit me as a real estate agent, but this does create a time of uncertainty. And in this time of uncertainty, there are some folks who can benefit. But first, the bad news. So the Dow is down, and those stocks going down erased the money that some folks had set aside to actually buy a home during this market. The Fed is going to continue to raise rates and taper bond buying and most likely push us into a recession, which is what some folks believe. How about the fact that inflation is running at record highs, gas prices are up, and mortgage interest rates went through the roof very rapidly this year? This is not a rosy picture. Just how bad is it out there amongst consumers and the sentiment in the marketplace? Well, Fannie Mae just released their numbers, the Home Purchase Sentiment Index, and it's terrible. So this is a quick overview where they add up all the components of the sentiment index, and it doesn't look that bad at 68.5. It has been lower, but let's look into the individual components. We'll look at buying conditions. We can see that this is pretty much the lowest it's ever been. About 19% of folks out there that they surveyed think it's a good time to buy. 76% think it's a bad time to buy. When you do the difference, you get a negative 57%, and this is the worst it's been. So right now, it is a bad time to buy, according to respondents. How about it to sell? So we have 72% saying it's a good time, 21% saying it's a bad time, and this nets out to a good percentage of folks thinking it's a good time to sell. So what does this mean for the market potentially? Well, you have a bunch of sellers saying it's a good time to sell and a bunch of buyers saying it's a bad time to buy. This could lead to a drop in demand and an increase in inventory at the same time. So who would be crazy enough to buy during these times? Well, I've got a few people that should consider buying right now in this housing market. The first category of folks who should buy now are sellers. And that is folks who need to sell their home before buying another one. So this is the perfect market to finally get a contingent offer accepted. And what does that mean? That means that you can go under contract with the seller while still having a home to sell yourself. Our boots are in the street, and we've just done a couple deals like this where we are helping out our clients acquire a different home in a different price point in a different area, and they're being given time to sell their current home. So good luck in the housing market in the past couple of years attempting to set up a contingent home sale. It was impossible. But as the market shifts, as buyer demand drops a little bit and the inventory starts to increase, we will be able to stitch these deals together. Of course, once you have that other home under contract that you're going to buy, it's important to be realistic on the sale of your own and make sure you have sufficient time to get that done. Reach out to us if you'd like some guidance on attempting to buy another home as a contingent seller, and welcome to a new market where you can actually do this again. The next group that you consider buying right now are those in areas where inventory will remain constrained even as demand drops a little bit. And for example, this would be an area like Southern California. We don't have enough land in most places along the coast, for example, and there isn't enough new construction to meet the demand in those areas. This makes it an area where we won't expect prices to drop. Even as demand drops and inventory increases, there may be a leveling off, but not a major drop. Now, other areas where there's plenty of vacant land and no reason that construction can't continue, that would be an area that may find that there's enough inventory at a certain point and prices could drop. That would be an area where you'd want to be a little more cautious buying now, where there aren't any constraints to supply. And for those watching other YouTube videos where they say there's already too many new homes, bear in mind that the concentration of new homes tends to be in certain geographic areas. So just because a certain area is overbuilt doesn't mean that all areas are overbuilt. And again, coastal Southern California is a prime spot where it is tough to overbuild new homes. The next group that you keep on looking and buy right now is when they find the right deal when there is a property with multiple exit strategies. And this is a wide open field. So if you can find a property where you can potentially add another bedroom, add more square footage, add an additional unit, those types of things could potentially help offset any potential reduction in price. So if there's multiple exit strategies on a property, maybe you're able to turn it into a vacation rental. Maybe you're able to rent out another unit or additional units on the property. As long as there's ways to mitigate potential losses, it's worth going after these properties. Of course, construction costs are up right now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to stay up for the long term. So you could find that while you may not be able to take advantage of the exit strategy right now, maybe 6 months or a year from now, you can plan on doing that. Always look at the highest and best use of a property. It may be its current configuration, it may be how it's sitting there right now, but if there's a way to add value, that is a way to help mitigate future losses on the property. And that's why we encourage those who are interested and open to it to go after properties with multiple exit strategies. And we'll continue content on this. Of course, a prime example is California's SB 9 and ADU laws. And we've done content on this already. And these ones are obvious. It's those buyers who are going to hold long term. So we're talking 7 to 10 years or longer. So make sure if you are going to buy now, you buy a house that's going to work for the next 7 to 10 years. Of course, there's no guarantees. But buying a one bedroom when you got twins on the way is an obvious example of what not to buy at this point in time in the market. And dovetailing into this, and another obvious point is you must be ready to buy. So you have the down payment saved up, plus money for closing costs and potentially fixing it up. It makes sense for you to stay put for a while, and you are in a position where you have solid jobs, solid income coming in. It may make sense for you to buy right now. Here's one more important point, and to paraphrase from Pirates of Yore, here there be deals. In a market like this, when uncertainty is rearing its ugly head, there will be sellers who have to sell, and with a reduction in the number of buyers out there, there will be deals to had, and you can't take your eye off the ball. You've come this far. Everything else is ready for you to buy. Now is not the time to give up. There will be places and times where you can find a deal. For example, properties that have fallen out of escrow once or twice, those are going to be good deals for the next buyer who swoops in. Or maybe it's a property that's priced way too high and you go in and negotiate a good deal. Or there's a big price reduction and you can negotiate a good deal. There are sellers out there who have to sell in any market. So don't give up if the timing's right for you. You may finally find the deal that you've been looking for. To know exactly where your local market is right now, you make sure you sign up for the Altos reports that we provide free of charge in literally any city or zip code in the nation. We have a link below so you can sign up for that. Let us know in the comments below if you think it's absolutely nuts to buy right now, or alternatively, if you've been able to score that deal that you've been trying to get through this entire crazy housing market. For the most honest and up-to-date real estate advice, subscribe to this channel. Check out this next playlist where we cover the housing market in detail so you know what to do as a buyer or seller. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we want to hear from you.